Welcome to the final installment of Band Batch for Bad
Band
Batch
Batch!
Season 1.
Band Batch.
We are the Band Batch. God damn it. I'm Xanthe. This is Justin on this side, and that's James right there.
Woo!
And today we're going to be discussing the season finale of the Bad Batch Season 1. I'm really excited
Oh,
to talk
yeah.
about this.
Oh, yeah,
There's
same here.
so much. Oh yeah, there's a lot of people in chat. And I saw
Hey,
Jonah
chat.
tweeted at me. Okay.
Hey, Chad.
Hey Jonah. Hey Jeannie. Hey K-pop Times.
Jonah.
Oh look, Justin.
Hey, Justin.
And me?
Hey, you're here.
Hi, I am here. Good to be back.
We have some comments already. I found the
Missed
music
you
and the
so much
sound
last week,
effects this episode were tough to distinguish. Interesting. All right.
I
So
missed you all too.
okay, here's my idea for today's stream because this is the season finale and I want to make sure that I want to sort of cover things in a comprehensive fashion, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know how, like, on the main show, we kind of go chronological, but, like, we take, of course, diversions along the way to focus and then, kind of do recap stuff at the end.
Yeah.
I thought it would be cool, like, especially for people who tune in or want to watch this later, when they're catching up on the Bad Batch, if they want sort of a more, like, rundown, more of like a breakdown of everything that's happening. And we can, of course, add our own thoughts throughout. So, like, any of the examples that we've prepared, like, let's vaguely kind of, like, do the ones that happen toward the beginning, insert them
Okay,
in
sure.
when it's, like, around that time frame.
So no guessing game today.
No, I will be guessing,
No
but,
guessing, just example.
It'll
yeah,
just be very easy since
I won't
we'll
have
know
to be
where
like,
in
yeah.
episode we
Let's
are.
just put it in order. Oh, good. I think I've got mine in order already then.
I mean,
Oh,
I'm
interesting.
definitely, mine are not in order. So, like, if I forget any, I'll just do them at the end or whatever. But
Okay.
actually, let's start with let's do one round of any guessing, and then we'll do the like, just as an icebreaker.
Cool.
Sound
Yeah.
good? All right.
Okay.
So everyone, we're doing one round of just like free for all guessing game. We're each gonna
What could it
play
be?
one thing, and then everyone
could it
guess where this happened in the episode.
Cool.
How about you go
Alright.
first, Justin?
Sounds
Yeah, we-
great. Okay. Let's see if this hopefully this should all if I'm coming through, this should come through.
Okay.
So I got a little sound effect for y'all. And it's not at the beginning. I'll give that hint.
Okay.
Okay, hopefully this
Also, if you could turn your volume up a little bit, I feel like you're still a little bit soft.
still a little bit soft. Let me
Oh, that's good. Oh, well.
I'll point at the mic.
Okay.
I'm in New Jersey, everybody. I don't have my regular setup, so I'm improvising a little here. But here we go.
Great.
No. It was the wrong one. That was the wrong one. I meant this one. Did we hear that?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's...
There it is a second time.
Okay.
Wow.
My friends in the chat, my friends on the stream, any guesses of what that might be?
It sounds
All
like...
right.
Who is it that... Was it Jeannie that said, I found the music and sound effects in this episode were tough to distinguish?
There were definitely moments that were very tough to distinguish, especially with the syncing of Camino facility itself. There were some things in there that sounded, is it sound design? Is it music? Is it both? But
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would agree with that. And I think, like, also something that was confusing was that, like, a lot of the sounds were, like, a sound effect isn't just a sound effect on its own. The sound effect can then interact with, like, other elements. So, for example, like, AZ has a sound. But then, like, AZ underwater has a different sound, but
Different
like
sound.
similar.
I love AZ.
So was that
AZ is
an
my
AZ
favorite.
sound?
It was not an AZ sound. That's a great guess, Jeannie, though.
Oh, that was going to be, AZ underwater.
I'm very glad AZ seemingly will be part of the Bad Batch now. Like,
Same here.
He'll be basically hanging out with them next season. I'm very glad that he made it through. Um, and
Jonah
Definitely, we
says
haven't.
Camino falling in the background.
It's not, although those were great sounds. Those were
Hmm.
yeah,
uh, those were good ones. This
okay,
is not. I'll play it one more time if y'all want.
yeah.
Yes,
Go ahead
please.
and play it again.
Okay. I tried to get it as close as I could, of course, but here it is.
Wow, what a sound.
If anything, I got the
Um, well,
envelope
here's the
on it,
thing.
so that
Yeah, the shape.
contour of the volume and the
It's
pitch shape.
this is what this sounds to me because it sounds, and let's maybe we can just break because I'm not really sure, but I would love to like just talk about the sound because to me it
Mhm.
sounds like it's being muffled or like it sounds like it's coming through a glass or through water. Is this a sound of something that is underwater or through glass or something like that?
This is a sound that is both underwater and
And
through the
through glass.
glass.
It really sounds like that. You can hear, and Justin, maybe can you use as like what filters or envelopes like typically what frequencies are being taken out like when that
So
happens? Like, yeah,
totally. So I'm taking out a lot of the high end of the frequency, so things all the way up to there, because underwater
gotcha.
we tend to get these more muffled sounds in a
Right.
way. And this is definitely coming from a bit of a distance of
Okay.
what's happening. There's a contour to the sound and the pitch. We get this kind of rising and falling
Right.
with the volume.
So
Um,
we have two guesses incoming.
I
K-pop
see
Times
them.
and Jonah both say, "Is it the creature?"
Is it the creature? Is it the creature?
It's
Is
it's
it?
the creature sound.
It's absolutely the first time they
Woo!
hear that, which apparently doesn't
Awesome.
have a name yet. This creature doesn't have a name yet. I tried to find the name. It
Oh,
is a
cool.
new creature, at least according to the article I read. But it
And
looks like
that would make
I'm calling it
sense.
the whale turtle.
The whale. And that would make
It's like
sense.
a
It's a new
Oh my
creature. Like,
gosh.
why would we have seen this animal before
It's
unless
the
it was
underwater
on?
Zillow beast.
Yeah.
this beast. Yeah, I kept
The,
thinking it was going to be something like from the Phantom Menace when Qui-Gon says there's always a bigger fish.
yeah.
But it was definitely. I mean, we're not on
Yeah,
Naboo, so I could
very much not.
very much not on Naboo. We're on Camino, which is I can only imagine the amount of sea creatures there. The whole planet is covered with
Oh my
water.
goodness.
Um,
And
uh,
I was very glad this happened. There's something that I love, which is like leviathans. Okay, so it just like
yes.
Isn't that a Bible
huge.
thing?
It is, yeah, and
Okay.
just huge sea monsters are like I am so into huge sea monsters. Star Wars could forever always have giant sea monsters in all of its content from now on, and I would be a very happy man. Like Cthulhu and all these big things, like
Mhm.
I am just so into it. So when that happened in this episode, I was like, yes, yes. Like give me more giant sea monsters. Um,
Yeah,
Double
I love
yeah,
this.
Seven says reminded me of a muffled Jurassic Park T-Rex roar. Yeah.
love
Yeah,
it.
that
Yep.
absolutely. It kind of which the T Rex roar was a combination of what an elephant, a whale, a lion roar, all sorts of things like that. So I really
I
tried to go for the whale elephant sound
awesome.
as best as I could. But great guess, great stuff, and great ear, James, on the behind glass through water. That was hard. That was fun though.
That was awesome. So
Nice. Do you
I
want to play it one more time and
yeah, let's hear
before
it.
we move on?
Absolutely, there it is.
Fantastic. Great
Wow.
Um,
recreation.
Awesome.
And
Thank
shout out
you,
to the
thank
sound
you.
design team on the Bad Batch who made that.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
really awesome. I'm
absolutely.
very curious. I'm very curious what their samples were that they put together because they probably did something like that where they probably combined different, probably field recorded sounds. Probably right. It's probably
I
how
Probably.
they
can
made it.
Maybe.
imagine.
Yeah.
Definitely
Yeah,
animals. That's what I'm guessing.
that's really cool. Um, all right, you want another guess?
Go ahead,
You wanna-
James.
Okay,
Let's hear it.
so this happens in this episode,
Oh,
and
really?
Oh, good.
well, I decided to pick something from episode 4 instead. No, but this is gonna sound like really like that's all you're giving us, but it's very significant. Okay, here we go. Where does this happen?
First of all,
Mm.
fantastic.
Oh, oh, I see it. Oh, okay.
I know.
One more
I
time though. One
definitely
more
know.
time though. One more time, though.
And maybe just so you get the real effect, I'm going to mute my mic so you can just hear the sound.
Okay.
Mm.
There you go.
Does anyone have guesses? In chat?
I remember this sound, but I don't remember where.
We've heard the sound a few times in the season.
Oh, yeah. Well, so what instruments are there? Right. Let's talk about the instruments.
Mm-hmm. Well,
We have yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
Is it a church bell?
It's
Or like,
yeah,
what's
it's
the
a
technical term for that?
Tubular
bell.
bell with
There we
chimes,
go.
right?
Chimes. Yeah. It likely is not an actual church bell, which would be a
Right.
big
We
giant bell.
sampled a church bell.
Yeah.
Tubular bells are, thin metal bells that you hit with hammers. And there's a little bit of a kind of concert tom or sub bass underneath this whole thing.
Mm-hmm. So, I'll guess.
All right.
Is
Does
it
anyone in
when-
the chat have any guesses? Do we have
No.
any? No, I guess not. This didn't stand out to anyone.
Maybe I'm wrong. But I'm probably not. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. This
Okay.
also happened at this point. It's like something I follow in the episodes. Is it when AZ like dies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. This is right when AZ is like and like close it off, and then there's just like a straight up like death bell. Like
Yeah.
dead.
I was gonna say.
So it's like
it's
20 minutes in, and AZ's like sputtering. He's like, his batteries are run out, and he goes like, "Your path is clear." And then it's like,
Yes,
"Broom."
dude.
And then
I
right
wrote
after,
in my-
and then right after that, we get like, wait, like
It's
basically,
so sad.
I wrote in my notes. I literally began to tear up at that point when he was
I-
like,
I laughed. But-
like, oh.
Well,
I only laughed because of the church bell.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
The only thing actually, the thing that made me tear up was what happens shortly after this moment, which Crosshair saves Omega and AZ. I just was like, I actually, this is the first time all season, not to say that there wasn't emotional stuff that had happened this season, but I actually was crying, like on my couch by myself, watching this and watching Crosshair have that turning moment, and I just felt so moved by his his gesture of humanity towards Omega, and especially having that moment between him and Omega a number of minutes earlier, where Omega was basically like, I guess I was wrong and disappointed, but by him. That just meant so much when he kind of like basically really lets himself open up and do something really heroic in that moment. So yeah.
That was a really good example. I'm really glad that you were able to play that. Time says it was so emotional. Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right.
Xanthe, what do you got for us?
Okay. Make sure I'm not too loud.
Hey, you're good.
Good.
Oh wait. How about now? Too loud? No. Whatever.
That was a little bit kind of getting there, but
That before was good.
I'll turn myself way down.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know where this is.
Pretty sure I know where this is. Yeah.
Do you know where this one is? Any guesses from the chat?
Any guesses?
That was a good cue, though. That was a really, really fun cue. Stood out to me.
It stood out to me too. Do you think you know it,
Okay.
James?
I think I do.
Mm-hmm.
Any guesses from the chat?
So far, no, but we can
So
talk
far, no.
about it. So the
So
beginning of it
I-
is supposed to be brass, not piano.
okay, right. So my guess
Oh wait,
is
Jonah,
Jonah thinks you got it.
right
My
when
and
they get into the tunnel.
Yeah, I was just gonna say when they're starting to walk down the tunnel, right? Wrecker is in the and that was such a eerie, scary, foreboding, string work right there. And there's some really interesting harmonies going on with those string glisses, right? That whole line is kind of harmonized, right?
Yeah, I
with
mean, I wouldn't
yeah.
I think it's just. I think. Yeah, I mean, harmonized in that there's like other notes. I wouldn't.
Yeah, that's what
I
I mean.
wouldn't
It's
like.
like
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
it's not just that note. It's a number
For
of notes
sure, for
moving
sure.
all in
It's like they're
parallel
moving in
motion, right?
parallel. Yeah, exactly.
There's a good
Yeah.
amount of
So
it. Yeah.
it's a homophonic moment right there.
Yeah.
So
K-pop
and
Times says yes. Around when AZ says the tunnel is clear. Exactly.
yeah,
Yep, and
yeah,
that was going to be my guess as well. I wrote this down as the shifting strings, the bending, sliding strings, and what I dubbed
really
the
cool.
Peter Pan theme. Um,
Peter Pan.
they
Wait, where does that come from?
from the old animated Peter Pan from Disney. Has it's one of its main themes is dun da da bum da dum da 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 da. It does something. But anytime I hear something that goes da da, it just I always just screams Peter Pan. This is the dark
Peter
Pan.
Pan.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Nice.
Well, the beginning of that is also a familiar, I don't know, I guess I would call it an incidental motif at this point, that we've heard.
Mm-hmm.
And we also heard do 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 in episode 5, Rampage, at 6:15.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Aha.
really? What's
Yeah.
happening at that moment in that episode?
They are like the Bad Batch and Omega are looking above a rock. I mean, they're on a rock, perched on a rock, trying to figure out what to do about like the Zygerian Moochie situation. So they're like kind of forming a plan, kind of like looking down. It's the Moochie
Interesting.
episode, and
Muchi.
I feel like it's happened before, but like as soon as I heard that, I was like, I totally remember the context it was in episode 5. It was like do do do. Well, I'll do it higher. Do 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 do. Do, 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 do. And
I see.
it was like a really interesting harmonization of, I mean, the Bad Batch theme there. And I guess the thing that they have in common, if I'm trying to determine what it signifies, they're forming a plan or something.
Forming a plan
So
and heading into danger, kind of like
Yeah.
heading into something that's going to ultimately challenge them in some ways. What's interesting is this is, I'm sure, purely coincidental, but it also reminds me of the Ewok theme. Bum ba-dum, bum ba-dum, bum ba-da-dum, ba-dum, bum.
Oh, the rhythm. The rhythm, totally.
Yeah, and even just the tonal quality of it. Like I'm not saying that
Mhm.
the intervals are the same, but it
Yeah.
has that somewhat of that, that kind of. I'm not sure what scale it's using, but it's very similar.
Interesting. Cool.
Snarky. I love it. I love the Ewok theme. It's
Oh
awesome.
my gosh, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. It's really good. Okay, so
All
now
right.
let's talk through the entire episode.
Sure.
So in
Oof,
chat, if you
oof.
have any things, like we're gonna do, this is like a bedtime story, but definitely not bedtime, depending on where you are in the world, I guess. So we start with the Disney logo, with the regular logo, the normal logo, and after the logo, at 0 minutes and 0 seconds. Actually, after the logo, it's like 5 seconds, technically, or whatever. Anyway, point is, opening has no music.
Right.
It's
And
just
then
a
we
bunch
get
of
the-
weapons firing. There's the alarm blaring. There's lots of like whale type sounds.
Yeah. And it's
Right.
actually like it's a repeat of the actual events. Like it's not, we don't pick up right where we left off. We actually rewind a little bit and we get to see the Empire destroy Camino again, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Bit of a different angle, but yeah.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
even think of that.
Get to see that all again.
Right.
Big
I
explosions. I
figured they were
wrote down.
just, yeah. Wait, I figured we were just still seeing it.
It definitely was back a minute
It
or
was.
two.
Okay,
Because
that's cool.
when we ended last week, they had ceased fired. You know, you know.
Good observation.
Whoa.
Ooh, whoa, whoa.
Oh, did I just do something weird?
Yeah,
Everything
the whole world
shifted.
just
It was great.
shifted.
Just trying to move my window so I could see my notes. I'm like, I have so many things on the screen.
Love it.
That's funny. So, and then we have the tinnitus sound.
Yes, wrote that
Yeah.
down. 105. Good
Mhm.
tinnitus ring from an explosion coming in.
So, who among us has heard a ringing in their ears before like that?
I'm a drummer, of course I have.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, I'm curious, is this an experience that other people, that non-musicians, experience? I'm sure. I'm sure it's something that a lot of people hear, a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
people experience. It's the ringing in the ears. I don't think my ring is at that same pitch, but
No.
it's
It's always
very. It was like very. I was almost like worried as I was watching that and hearing it because I was like, "Oh no, am I? Where is it coming from?
Agreed.
Oh,
It
am I
was
hurting my
very
ear?
realistic.
Oh my god,
It was
no!
very realistic. Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh.
Does anyone here faint ever? Like when you get blood drawn or get a shot or anything like that? Anybody have fainting stuff?
I don't
I do.
faint, but I do get really freaked. I get
Gotcha.
lightheaded.
I faint and I get tinnitus like that. So I've a number of times I've been to the doctor and I've passed
mm,
out. When I
No.
get I get blood tests or whatever. And I typically get like a ringing in my ear and then I just like I just pass out. So yes, I know that sound both very well as a
Damn.
musician and also in that kind of setting, which is like they've had a huge loud moment and it's kind of like a very stressful moment. It adds to your anxiety when you're hearing that, you know?
Honestly, that made me feel like, okay, I should probably I don't feel like I want to go to a live concert in a while. In a while.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say you get that a
Right.
lot in live coming out of a live concert.
Definitely.
I've done front of house for concerts where I'm like, is it feedback? Is it tinnitus? Is it just a high note?
Right.
What's going on here? Because as an audio technician, I can, but I tend not to wear earbuds or earplugs. When I'm attending a
Oh,
concert, I will, but
it's rough.
as an audio technician, I don't wear them. I hate even having a comm to
Oh,
talk to other people
Justin.
because I know. That's why I'm far away when that happens.
Hello there,
Right.
Kara.
There you go.
Has anyone else gotten ringing in their ears? Anyone else experienced this? Well,
Oh yeah.
the three of us concur that it is very realistic and scary
Mhm,
in this moment.
Yeah.
mhm.
So, I will say, famously, like the first time I heard about tinnitus was like Beethoven had tinnitus, and um, I have to say, like when I started I feel like I've had it my whole life. I don't think it's like on and off, but it's not like persistent all of the time. It comes and goes. Um, but yeah, Beethoven apparently
Mhm.
Yeah.
suffered with that.
Suffered badly.
Yeah.
And he used to have like put his piano on the floor. Like he would cut the legs off his piano so he could hear the vibrations through the floor.
Which is a
From
really
it.
cool adaptation, but
Yeah.
so after that, we hear this like riser sound.
Ooh,
It's
ooh,
like,
ooh.
oh, yep. Do you have a demonstration?
Something like that.
Yes.
One of those. Those are one of my examples there.
Fantastic.
313 as they look up with the flashlight. Oh, it was so good.
Okay.
Wait.
Can I-
There's
can
two
I-
risers because there was another riser before then too.
There was.
There's a
I
lot of
think, yeah.
risers. There's a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
of risers in this episode, but that was so fantastic.
I'd like to make a suggestion. From now on, Justin, when you know what one of the audio examples are that we're playing, you need to play that sound. That's the Justin figured it out sound. Yeah.
What if he
I
gives himself a
believe-
riser and he's wrong?
I got it
then
on
he,
camera.
he like he gives himself and then he's like, nope.
I'll have the trombone wah wah sound on the
Oh, yeah.
side there.
There we go.
Can you
I
play
can
it again,
put that.
Justin?
I can put that I can put that in here.
Yeah, I'll play it one more time. That was a fun one to do.
Okay.
I have an idea.
I love that there's like a stinger at the end.
Yeah.
No, we can't have any deaths yet, James. So for, a riser essentially is exactly what it sounds like, and risers, the name riser, I feel like is most commonly used in like EDM music, which
Yeah.
it tends to mean like, okay, you often will hear like something that gets louder and sometimes it gets faster, but there's often like an ascending pitch, like that type of thing, and then often it cuts off and there's a drop.
And then the drop.
That's sort of how that happens in EDM. However, the term riser actually many genres of music have risers as well, but maybe called
Sure.
different things.
Mhm.
So
If anyone knows the song A Day in the Life by the Beatles,
Yeah.
Mhm.
classically has a famous one at the very end of that song,
yeah.
Boom. Then we have the big chord, piano chord at the end of
Yep.
that song.
Oh god, it's so good. I love the Beatles,
Yeah.
and that's such a good one. Anyway, so then after that we get this sort of half step, almost Jaws like type stuff. And then 2 minutes in, Rampart asks for the status report.
Really cool
Mhm.
way, like whatever instrument or sample patch or synthesizer or whatever is playing that theme is really cool sound. I really
Mhm.
liked that. Those
I loved the
like
sound
Yeah.
selection in this episode.
yeah, I don't know exactly what that was, but it was really nice. I
Mhm.
think some type of synthesizer, really cool.
And then we hear this like, I don't know. My notes say D sweep filter, but I don't really remember what I meant by that. But there's like something on a D, and it sounds sort of like this type of thing.
Huh.
Yeah.
So I heard that type of
Yeah,
a filtering.
that's what I was talking about. That sound right there was really, really cool.
It was me.
It was you. You played on the
Here's
back.
you. Oh.
You played on this week?
For one cue. One
No,
cue.
You're like, it
brought
was
me in
me.
just to
I
do
was on the
that.
show.
We
What can I
can't
say?
figure out
I'm
how
a
to do this,
pro
Xanthe.
at the
We need
D.
you.
The D sweep.
They heard us from a couple episodes ago
Yeah,
when
and
we
they
said
invited
that.
me. We need this D. We should need you to do this one note.
Can you filter it for us too?
Yeah.
I want to point out too, right? Because you mentioned Rampart asking for the status report, and I personally consider the voice acting itself as part of the sound design based on the
Oh
delivery
yeah,
and like the importance. But the response was to me clearly a clone trooper, and
absolutely.
the pauses and how he delivers Camino and everything has sunk into the sea was stood out to me so much. One, because of the pauses, but it is another, in a way, a clone realizing they just kind of destroyed their home.
Right.
And it's almost eye opening for that clone, if not all the clones at this point, of what just happened and what is happening to their
Absolutely. I
entire
loved that
forest.
moment. I love that
Hmm.
moment. Very good characterization of what the clones must be feeling, and puts a air, really hammers home the tragedy of what just happened. And I think, man, I would love to see. I have a feeling that the clones are going to be hard for the Empire to continue to influence, especially after they
Hmm.
just did. I think if they're having trouble already with people like Hauser and people like the Bad Batch and other folks that are kind of defecting, I think they're gonna have even more of those issues now that they've basically destroyed their homeland. So I think
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
season
Plus,
we
the
definitely
Empire
might.
doesn't even want the clones. So
Right. But so the folks that are currently working for them, I imagine they're going to be becoming increasingly more problematic. So we might see some clone revolts next season. I think that might be foreshadowing for that. So
Yeah, that would be really cool.
yeah.
Here we also hear the same type of alarm that was happening last episode, and let me see if I still have it saved.
Yeah. No,
Nope.
yeah. No.
This one.
Yeah, that's the
Tiny
one.
ones, yeah.
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 So Justin made this sound effect, and it's great.
Great work, Justin.
Thank you.
And yeah, I mean, so this is when they, from last episode, it was they actually put that on when they were alerting that the Bad Batch had arrived, right? That's why. So it was like just kind of left on, I guess. Somebody just like left that like danger alarm on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I guess they're not like taking care to turn everything off before they destroy the planet. They're just like whatever. Did you turn the lights off in Nalase's lab?
God, our electric bill is gonna be through the roof.
Either that or that poor alarm is like something's wrong, doesn't know what it is, but something's wrong.
Yeah, like maybe it's motion censored or something.
Maybe that's why like the stormtrooper armor ends up being so weak, is because they left the alarm on in Kamino and really drained their energy budget. And they're like, well, I guess we gotta go. We gotta go.
Apparently, apparently it's Gregor's fault, right? He said, I can show them everything.
That's right. Yeah. They can't shoot, and they have bad armor that is basically useless. Like, like in Mandalorian, when he's basically able to just, that armor does nothing. Those stormtroopers, Anyway, that's what we got on top.
So then AZ says, Omega, wake up. And Omega finds Crosshair stuck.
Yeah.
And we get this this really interesting, suspenseful, very minimal music. But what stands out to me during this whole part, as Crosshair is everyone's kind of worrying about being drowned. AZ, you survived, but you're moments away from drowning. I love AZ. We get this ticking.
I was just about to say, Jess, I'm so glad you just said this.
This ticking.
Yeah, and it was the same. I actually brought the same sample last week. They had it at the beginning of the episode last week, and it's this percussive ticking that sets you on course and starts to get you kind of anxious and starts to bring you forward. It's this percussive kind of shaker ticking sound. It's almost like a ticking time bomb, right?
Yeah,
or at least it sets it. Yeah, there's a number of spots that comes back. Yeah,
comes back. It definitely comes back later this episode.
Jonah likes the ticking segment. Yeah. Me too. And it's basically here we also start getting like, is that a pan flute? Was that a pan flute or something?
It sounded like it.
Pan flute.
Some kind of
it was like
fluty
with spit, like a flute with like a
a reedy flute, if you will.
Breath
and
then reedy.
At 3:35, Wrecker uses the knife to cut through the door. Good on him.
Those
using his knife. Yep. And yes, then greetings CT-9904. You survived the aerial bombardment, but are now moments away from drowning. And then we get some violin 16th notes enter, which is going to be a theme throughout this whole episode. There's a lot of action violin, a lot of ostinato. And then we get this, like, I think really cool, is this the really big cadence where it's like, anyway, there's sort of like that type of thing as Crosshair slides in, like after, he slides in coughing after he has been saved. Sorry, Anakin is in the house. Where was that?
Where did that happen? Where did the cat go across the?
Yeah, she just does not even care. She's just like, I'm just gonna go to my spot.
Love it.
Oh, Anakin.
Yeah, this was a nice moment with these like 16th note kind of hits on the trumpet. It's like biddy, biddy, biddy. Really, and a really nice horn line cadence here as they got the door open. It was a nice musical cue. I liked it.
And we get to 5:48. So that's a long time in TV's in TV land, no music.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so that is sort of another theme of this episode, I suppose you could say, is like a lot of a lot. See, I wouldn't call it silence would be definitely not the right word, because there's a lot of sound, but not a lot of like music score
Hmm.
happening
For
in
sure.
some really intimate moments. And here's one of them. So in this part where there's no music, um, we hear, or Crosshair says, like, "What have you done?" And Hunter says, "The Empire opened fire on the city. We weren't going to leave you behind." And then Tech says, "We don't have time for this. We need to get topside before this entire structure submerges." Hunter says, "If you want to stay here and die, that's your call." And then we see the outside shot of the city submerging with like
Hmm.
lots of like explosion sounds and like the whale sounds.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Double O'Sullivan says whenever it cuts back to the outside shot of the city sinking, it has such a mournful kind of groaning sound. Totally. A dying
Bro,
whale
yeah.
is like what.
Well,
Hmm.
we haven't really gotten here yet. But it's also a lot of times accompanied by the clone theme.
Yeah,
Um,
well, we're
uh,
just about to get there anyway. So
yeah. So all these wonderful, wonderful, but I should say haunting, shots of the facilities, and specifically they cut to like the actual clone tubes, the cloning tubes and cloning facilities, and they're playing the clone theme. Um, yeah,
That part was I just like you, James. I cried in two spots in this
yeah,
in this episode. It was AZ, and this scene in particular struck me as powerful and so sad. And with I wrote horn melody, the clone theme. It was just so oof oof.
it really
Good job.
haunting, well used, lot of retrospective, kind of just it's almost nostalgic in some ways, in a very
Hmm.
sad
yeah,
way,
definitely.
uh,
There's a
yeah.
lot of loss.
I mean, we haven't really like this moment of this episode is something that we haven't really we haven't really seen anything like this in Star Wars, in which we have a very lived in familiar environment to Star Wars and Star Wars fans, and watching it basically be destroyed. Like we saw Alderaan get blown up in A New Hope, but we never spent any time there at that moment, right? We had never really spent any time. It would be like if
And
they
I guess
made
Rogue
a
One too. We also didn't like
yeah,
Little
we
spend
didn't
very
time,
really
much
but
time.
yeah, but not too much.
no,
Yeah.
not much, but this is like Camino. It's like it's been around for how long? Like it's been around since episode 2
It's
and
been around
throughout
for
the
like
whole
10 years.
right. And now we just watched it get destroyed. Like
Yeah.
this means a lot to us as Star Wars fans.
Hmm.
So it would be like if Tatooine blew up, like it'd be like
Not quite, but
well, no, no. I mean, well, what I mean, no, I think if we watched this thing set in like the sequel era and they blew up Tatooine and we never saw it ever again, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
everybody be like, dude, they just blew up Tatooine. That's kind of what
Yeah.
happened here. They just blew up Camino, and we're watching it happen. We're going through that loss just as much as these characters are, because we're hypothetically not going to really see it anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, we probably will, but
Although actually,
yeah.
it comes to the question with the entire planet being covered in ocean and this being the Camino cloning facility. I'm curious if there are any other
Right.
places on that planet that
Right.
are inhabited in the same way. Because if this was just the clone, I
Right.
mean, I'm not trying to diminish any of the emotional content here because
Sure.
the whole thing was just kind of a home was destroyed, a birthplace was destroyed, a
Absolutely.
very important part of the Clone Wars and the entire Republic battle was destroyed.
Yeah. And I think it would be like I think like the whole point of this episode was to portray that this was it. Like this is
yeah,
Yeah,
like I don't think there is anything there. And if there I guess there always could make that be the case, but I feel like I think that would kind of diminish what this episode did if they were like, "Oh, by the way, there's actually like a casino on the other side of the planet,"
the dying whale
Like
bending metal sound was so mournful. Agree. So
yeah.
I
hmm,
guess what does it mean? Like the planet wasn't destroyed. I mean,
No.
I
The
mean,
si-
I guess the planet was sort of destroyed, but the rock of the planet is still there.
Right.
right.
The civilization, the where these particular group of people and creatures lived. Obviously, we there's plenty of sea life that are doing just fine.
Yeah,
You
so
know,
it was
they
like
won't.
a dinosaur situation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously these people that lived on the surface, you know, and obviously the Kaminoans were not, you know, I don't know if they were amphibious or not, but obviously they preferred to live above water. And this civilization has been all but wiped out, you know.
Yeah.
So that's tragic.
Let's
Um,
talk. There's a lot we can. There I have a lot of things to add to this
yeah, sure.
conversation, but let's move
Yeah.
on for
Let's
now.
move on. For sure.
Um,
Yeah.
so a moment of impact at 6:57. I don't remember where that was leading, but then at 7:45, and Jonah tweeted at me that this was like a cool spot. The word okay, we hear this fast string ostinato pickup, and this is sort of when we have Omega and Crosshair moment. They're looking at
Mm-hmm.
each other, and what is the actual? Let me see what the dialogue is. It's like the room is flooding, and Crosshair's stuck. Get the door open, Tech. All compromised compartments are sealed. No, never mind. Sorry. There is no way to where am I? I believe we have landed on the ocean floor. There is no way to accurately calculate the damage. Most of the facility must be compromised.
Yeah.
And we start to get this string thing, but then layers develop around it. So the string part is like basically over and over, just like, and then we hear this cello underneath it doing the bass notes, like the pedal tones.
Mm-hmm.
So and so while that's going on, then we start to get also the Bad Batch theme.
Mm-hmm.
So above all that, we get like sorry. Slow because there's like a counterpoint and that's Crosshair. So it goes like
Yep.
sorry. What
This
am
is
Yeah, there we go.
yeah.
So like every theme.
This is right around.
Yeah.
This is like right around 8 minutes, right, Xanthe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things
I
happening.
had that all done. I was like, every theme. We got them all right there. Like all intertwined.
All the
Really
themes
Well,
in
what are
one.
the themes that you hear there? Because there's the
I
do 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 do, which is the
clone
Bad
theme
Batch.
too is there.
We have Clone
For sure.
theme, we have the Bad Batch
Wait,
theme,
wait,
kind
where's
of
the clone
entering.
theme?
Clone theme happens for sure in this moment. Let me
Mm.
I mean um yeah,
Well,
It's
it's
all
tough,
very
I guess, because the
fragmented.
Bad Batch theme and the clone theme both have the do do do. They both have the perfect fourth and a so
um so
Jonah says we hear the clone theme, the Bad Batch theme, Omega's theme, and Crosshair's theme. Yeah, okay. I guess if we're rolling it into the first three notes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I,
Okay.
I, I
Okay.
thought it was all very fragmented, but it was all definitely there.
Yeah, that's interesting. The clone theme is sort of like a freebie in this case because the Bad Batch theme starts with the clone theme and then does its own thing, right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So because we hear the Bad Batch theme intrinsically, we by definition we hear the clone theme because doo doo doo, and then the doo 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 is the Crosshair theme, like the new Crosshair thing that we just heard last episode for the first time, and it's two like brass lines intertwining, and underneath that is like the pedal point in the cello is this continuing eighth note thing. So goes like. Yeah.
Really nicely done between all of them. I mean, they all have a very similar like, what's the word? They're like, they're all kind of minory and majory, like there's some kind of time. I mean, they're all like kind of they all they all work pretty well together. None of them are particularly. It'll be like if I feel like if Yoda was in this scene, it would be hard to kind of throw his theme in there. You know what I mean? But all of them all have like a very similar tone of quality, so they work really well together.
Yeah.
But and it's interesting. I mean, this is like when all of the characters are kind of like they're all kind of confronting who they are, what their relationships are with each other, what their relationships are with their home, and what it means to be a clone. It's very fitting that we get their themes. And I'm not even going to get too far ahead, but there is a moment that I'm very excited to talk about later.
Neat. So let's continue making our way through. So they find their old barracks. Then the slow Bad Batch theme plays in the background. A few times, we stay in this G minor realm of, it sounds like slow notes, but it's outlining the Bad Batch theme. And then Crosshair says soldiers follow orders. And they're all going to die here because of your failed leadership. And then Omega says, no, we're not. Look. And here we actually change to A minor. So like the modulation going upward makes it sort of feel like a new, I don't know, new hope, I don't know. It's sort of like a classic child thing to do, or like a little bit more optimistic. And so then we get the Bad Batch theme again, but like this time in A instead of G. And it's a little bit magical sounding. I think I heard like a clarinet, or maybe it was a trumpet with no vibrato. I'm not sure.
Something. Crosshair says, "Is she calling the shots now?" Which Xanthe, you had messaged me a while back. Said, "What do you feel Omega is truly a member of the Bad Batch? Like, at what point is she not just Omega, the kid that they're taking care of?" But I feel like this was a true moment of we listen to her because she is the part of this team now. I mean, we learned episodes ago that she's good at strategy. That's her ability for this group. But I just wanted to throw that in there real quick.
Yeah, I agree. And especially with the context of like the fact that she's basically known these people their entire lives, and they didn't even realize that until she revealed that to them in these last two episodes. Which, like, I basically watch you all get your modifications, and I was here for all that. And I think they had a moment like even though she's maybe like biologically and maybe like psychologically they're younger and quote unquote more naive or whatever, she has a level of seniority over them because she has seen them their whole lives, and has seen that context.
And
so she
later.
Yeah, exactly. She said like she's actually older than us, and I think like she's part of the group. She's been there since the beginning, really. They didn't even realize it though. So I think that's totally right on.
And then we get to the tunnel.
We get to the tunnel, but as that's happening, we get this wonderful little cue just after saying, she's calling the shots, and they start cutting through. We get this nice from an oboe, which to me, because my mind goes to just other things all the time, is the minor version of Pure Imagination from the Willy Wonka movie. That's what I thought it was going to be.
And there's a little bit of this underneath.
Yes.
these
Yeah.
kind of like triplet snare drum bits
Military
underneath
type
that
thing.
happening. Yeah,
March type thing. Yeah.
for sure.
So then we get to the cue that I played at the beginning of this stream.
Hmm.
The do 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 sliding violins. Uh, and then more Bad Batch squabbling. Something on your tiny mind, Wrecker. And here I think the music is really interesting. Um, when Wrecker's kind of giving his like, all that time you didn't even try to come back, we would still have taken you, or whatever. That's when that the thing James played comes in, the sort of the military march type thing,
Yeah,
and Wrecker, and there's like these somber sort of chords that are happening, and as like it gets kind of sad to me, like when he says we still would have taken you, and then the next chord is sort of
Hmm.
like one, and it feels like a different mood to me, and that's when Tech starts speaking. Crosshair has always been severe and unyielding. It is his nature. You cannot change that. He cannot change that. Um, my favorite line. Um,
Yeah.
why are you
yeah, I
Mine
did
defending
was
me?
right
enjoy it.
after. Why are you defending me? I'm not understanding. It does not mean I agree with you.
Yeah,
Well,
love it.
yeah, yeah.
And why are you defending me? We get this. Then it just sustains.
Hmm.
Yeah. Were you gonna say something,
Interesting.
James?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I find Tech's analysis of that really interesting because he's typically very like cold and calculating, and sometimes he misses like maybe the emotional aspect of things. It's kind of like when Omega was asking him what was the war like, and he's like, I just told you, and what it was like the very like cold facts as opposed to like
I don't feel like he's
maybe
cold though. Well, I guess that's.
maybe
I guess
maybe
that.
cold's I mean maybe cold's the wrong word, but I guess you know what I'm saying though, right? Like
Yeah.
he's
Straightforward.
not
So
he's
this
straightforward.
comment was
He's
very on brand for him.
It was on brand, but it was also very like observant of Crosshair's personality, and it just shows like, it was like he's very observant, like, and almost it's just a different type of emotional intelligence where he's taking it in a very like calculated way as opposed to like being hot-headed and being like Wrecker is like, oh, he's just has a Wrecker has a different approach to
Hmm.
his emotional awareness with everyone, but Tech has like, but he's also very like astute, so he's not removed from understanding how people work, but he's it's just
Yeah,
the way that he communicates. I enjoyed that a lot.
me too.
I um I also, I mean, but this moment was a moment that I felt like I don't know if they've really like, to me, like the conversation that I feel like Crosshair should have been having with them, it still hasn't happened yet, which is like Wrecker's like, you never even try to come back. It's like, dudes, you guys never try to come back for him. It's like
Hmm.
you guys didn't, you guys just let him get capture the Empire this entire season and never went to save him. So that would have been my retort if I was Crosshair. I'd be like, what if you cared so much about me being in the Empire? Why didn't you ever come and try to save me? And Wrecker's giving him some crap, like, you never even tried to come back. It's like, well, because Crosshair was being celebrated by the Empire, and you guys basically were working for criminals for the last however many months or whatever. So I was more on Crosshair's side on that moment. I was like, well,
Yeah.
you guys didn't
Well,
really do
Crosshair
it.
doesn't even respond here yet.
Yeah.
It's Tech that um, cuts
Right.
Wrecker off. But yeah, that would have been a conversation to have, and I thought Wrecker's framing of it was very one-sided
For
for
sure. Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love this moment with Tech because, well, I mean, I just relate. I relate to Tech here
Mhm.
in this comment, and a lot overall. Um, so why are you defending me? I'm not understanding you doesn't mean agreeing with you. And then here we have this this little counterpoint moment with um, it's like a flute or clarinet, right? Is that what happens? I can't remember. I don't remember the order of notes or like what octaves. I have
There's
this.
a lot of moments with the da da da. Yeah, they
Yeah,
threw that on
something,
a lot in this episode, which
Mm.
was nice.
and that has a counter, and it forms a counterpoint with the doo dee 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 dee.
Hmm.
So that comes back again, and then we have more silence as they keep
More
moving through the
silence.
tunnel. We just
And
hear
then
whirring that amazing sound. I'll play that. Let me
Yeah.
cue that. Nope.
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 Um, and we hear an action cue then, which is another one of those many Flight of the Bumblebee type lines. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Whale sounds. A couple good whale sounds come in, or the whale turtle raincore Jurassic Park thing.
hmm We get lots more Bumblebee stuff. The creature gets electrocuted. Um, and this ambient background whirring is like so anxiety producing. There's inducing, I guess. The whole time, like the background, the loud ambient background noise like never stops, and it just like reminds me of like when the refrigerator just like all I can hear is the refrigerator or the fluorescent lights. I'm like, oh my god. And then here they enter Nalase's private lab, and I think there's some really nice underscore. I mean, it feels really like more expressive underscore than we've possibly heard in the past, and so I liked that. And then we get almost no music for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's wild. Except for a very brief tremolo thing. Wrecker says that's going to be a problem, and we hear this like another riser type thing where it's like something like that. Um, and here there's like just this whole conversation. Silence. AZ, what's wrong? My battery cells are depleting. Then Crosshair and Hunter are arguing. And this is when Omega joins Crosshair. It's like, you never liked it on Camino, did you? Go away.
Right.
I wanted to believe it was the inhibitor chip that made you like this. What does that mean? Oh yeah, what does that mean? That's my question to you. What does that mean? What is he like?
I
Like, I
I
truly didn't actually know. Like, that made you like this? What is this?
I mean, she didn't have a lot of experience with Crosshair. I mean, she knew his existence, and she knew, she was seeking the group out, but it seems like the only descriptions of Crosshair she's ever had, or interactions, have been negative, kind of a thing. And up until the last episode, when Crosshair said, I had my inhibitor chip taken out a long time ago," which I think he's lying, but that's just the heart in me, kind of a thing.
I
There's something
agree.
in me that makes me really think he's lying about that. Um,
Well, it's also
but
possible that he's not lying, but the inhibitor chip is making him think that he's removed his chip.
yeah,
I
You
think
know,
he took
it's
it out.
that's my I'm feeling like he has not removed it, but what the Empire
Why?
did when they cranked up his chip is
he's
that they
always.
Well,
yeah.
you're welcome to your opinion, of course.
Oh,
I
of course
Oh
strong.
yeah, no.
I feel like he didn't. I feel like he did take his chip out.
I mean, he probably did. There's a lot of moments where he's kind of doing the whole my head. I mean, yeah, he just almost
Yeah,
drowned multiple times. But
right,
when Wrecker had his inhibitor chip acting up, it was his head. When any
right.
of them, it was the head. It was
Well,
even back to
here's the other thing,
Rex and Clone Wars.
he doesn't have an incision mark, right?
Right.
He
He has a
has those,
burn.
and they've showed it. They've gone out of their way to show his head multiple times, and there's no mark on his head.
Hmm.
So,
I will be
It's the
disappointed
theory.
if it turns out that he still has his inhibitor chip. But
well,
I,
what if they do it? What if they do it, quote unquote, right? What if they make it,
I guess it
interesting?
depends. If
Yeah.
it's if there's a way. I mean, I just think I would be open minded to how they did it. However,
Right.
I think the fact that he took it out is a much more interesting opportunity to really get into what it means to be, I don't know, evil the right word? Like, because I fundamentally was really grappling with like what are the main differences between Crosshair and the Bad Batch? Like, why is one of them why is Crosshair bad and the Bad Batch good? What makes them so?
it's a good question, and I mean, I also, part of me really does believe he took it out, and I like agreeing with you. I like the idea that he's making his own decision to be
Yeah.
part of the Empire because he believes he's right. I don't think he's inherently evil or trying to do evil things. I think he's just had the mind of a soldier that follows orders for so long that this is the right path. This is all he's known. This feels good to him. Um, I
I,
like the
I
also really like the idea that he is lying or doesn't realize what's going on, and it's just his nature. Sorry, James. What were you gonna say?
no, I just gonna say I don't. I find it hard to. I mean, I understand that he thinks that what he's doing is like what he should do, but I don't. I like every time he describes why he's doing it, none of them are for noble reasons. Like
Well, I
everything
don't
is
think he
like
thinks he's being noble, and I
I
think
know,
like
but I know that's the part. That's the problem, though. Is like
I don't do things
to
for noble
me,
reasons.
to me, no. I mean, like the problem is like he doesn't have a sense of morality or nobility about his actions. Like he only cares about being the most elite soldier, and that their talents are best used to serve the most powerful entity in the galaxy. And to me, that's just like textbook evil. Like you only want to use your power to be powerful, and you're not using your power for good to help others. You're not using, to like, so I don't find anything that he's doing to be like, morally okay. And so I think that's like, and I'm not saying that, like, it's very clear to me that he doesn't care whether it's morally okay. He just cares about using and serving the most powerful entity in the galaxy, which is the Empire. And he said that multiple times. He's like, the Empire is going to be the most big power, and we're the the Bad Batch, and we're these elite soldiers, and we should be serving this greater cause of being powerful. And he said that. And so it's like he's
So
very
that's what
clearly
that we don't know exactly what he feels, but we know that that's what he's saying. Like,
okay.
so that doesn't mean that's exactly, because I feel like it's also a very like human thing to, especially when you feel sort of guarded and defensive like he is, to project like more of an air of confidence in what you're doing than you actually
Yeah.
Mhm.
feel. And like, so I feel like even if Crosshair feels a little bit crappy about like what he's doing, because, and he does give like all these furtive looks that are sort of just like, he kind of almost like maybe he wants them to keep trying, but like they haven't, it's sort of like he will say no until, like Luke
Sure.
even
Yeah.
makes Rey follow him, like, prove that she
Yeah.
really wants to learn from him and everything. Like, it seems like he has not completely like shut his heart out to that, but he's not ready to just like come back because it's like not like a great value proposition for him to go back to the bad. Like that's going to be like it's not like that great of a situation for him to go back to from his perspective. So I think he
Yeah.
feels very like lost between. I think he's like very lost right now. It seems,
Yeah.
and he sort of is like a little bit acting out and a little bit like screw you, like
Mhm.
in his phase of like still wanting to teach. I certainly understand the experience of like being a little bit more defensively sort of forceful than intended
Sure.
because I'm not ready to like let people in that are like
Right.
also that are also like acting so morally superior to me.
Mhm.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, and there's that moment last episode where he's talking to Hunter, and Hunter is like, I forget, how does he say? He says like, you don't understand us, or you really don't understand who we are, or something, right? Doesn't he say something like
Yeah.
that, where like because Crosshair is trying to like describe to them like, hey, like join me and we'll be powerful, and like Hunter's basically like, he says something along the lines of like, what the fact that basically what he means to say is like, the fact that you think that we want that means you obviously don't understand like us at all. And that's just his rationalization. Like, like for instance, like you know, uh villains like Vader, or no, even Palpatine. Like Palpatine frames, to Anakin, he doesn't say like, let's be powerful and let's run the galaxy and let's like overtake everything. He's like, you can save Padme.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, because he knows what Anakin wants. Like he knows that he's not gonna, like, Anakin doesn't really want to be like, that's not his actual motivation, is to like rule the galaxy. Like
Yeah.
he maybe has some problematic things about control and everything, but that's not really what he wants. Like, what he wants is just to be happy with his wife and like save her life. And so Palpatine uses that as the bargaining chip, but Crosshair has not had like is not manipulative like that. He's just like only expressing, you know, his perspective, which is like, he obviously, is like, this is how he's rationalizing what he's doing.
I mean,
We
Um,
all
desperately,
we
des-
all make choices like this on
Mhm.
smaller levels, hopefully,
yeah,
but
sure.
like, but this is also, it sort of feels like the equivalent of being offered a really like a job that's at a company that is like destroying the
The
rainforest or
planet
whatever,
or
like
something.
the
Yeah,
planet,
yeah.
but like they're gonna pay, it's gonna be a very high paying
Like,
job, like real, like life changingly like, and you will be really valued, and your other option is to be like a gig worker, like just like
right,
kind of doing like,
right.
and say that you like have the skills to be sought out by this like really terrible but like going to really take care of you seemingly
Yeah,
company,
Yeah.
and you're good enough to have get their eye, like you're, and you know that you're really skilled, like you why you know, to some people that would be a very viable opportunity. And I can see how Crosshair talking to the Bad Batch being like, come on, join the Empire, is sort of like someone trying to talk to their buddies,
right.
like to be like, come on, just let them recruit you. Like, I know that you want to do like do the right thing and whatever, but like just join us. Like these type of things are so common to the human experience, I think, and
Yeah,
are really hard to like. I appreciate when TV shows or like broach this issue, because this is the type of thing where like people, if it's just a chip, people won't see themselves in Crosshair. And I feel like the punchline is like we're all
Hmm.
Crosshair sometimes. Um, and hopefully like in lesser situations, but like every person like just living on this earth makes moral compromises at some point, or maybe takes something that, you know, it's hard to just weigh everything and just like always make the net right decision. And it's, you know, and again,
Hmm.
like if you look at the Bad Batch, if you look at Crosshair as part of the Empire, both of them have very high body counts.
yeah,
Like they both serve like before they're serving the Republic, which became the Empire. But like anyway,
right.
they're both like, it's hard to see like
Yeah.
unless you're really wrapped into it, like if you take a step back, like how they really are that different, other than like one thinks that they're on a good mission and the other doesn't necessarily think he's on a good mission, but he's like, I'm going to take care of myself
Right.
because it's
Well,
all
the Bad Batch isn't really on a good mission. They're
exactly.
basically just they're just surviving, and so neither of them are using their talents for good reasons. Like, like one of them serving the Empire, and one of them's like basically letting their talents go to waste by serving like the criminal enterprise, right? So it's like it's you know, like outside of the few times that like the Bad Batch helped out like Hera or you know
Hmm.
somebody else, you
Hmm.
know. But for the most part, they've kind of devoted they like, you know, Rex tried to be like, hey, let's go and fight for the like against the Empire. You know, like there's not the rebellion yet, but like Rex obviously is trying to do some work that's fighting the Empire in some way, shape, or form, right? So obviously the Bad Batch is no, they're not really using their talents for any good reason either. So they're kind of lost too.
They're all,
They
yeah,
don't
they're all
really,
lost. Yeah.
they're all kind of lost. So I'm curious what like it, because do you think, I guess what's our projection? Do you think by the time that the Bad Batch show has ended, do you think Crosshair will, do you think he'll go out as a villain in the Empire, or do you think that he will have a moment where he will like fully reject the Empire and come on
I,
over to the good side? What do we think?
I mean, I feel like, I mean, part of me, of course, the idealist in me wants him to rejoin the group because
Yeah,
both parties, one larger than the other, but both parties desperately miss each other. Crosshair is so hurt by this whole thing that I feel like him getting them to join him soothes his ego, soothes his hurt conscience,
right,
and
right,
and kind of like, no, no, like come back so we can be a team. And on their side they're like, you're the one blocking here, we want you on our side, but
right.
we can't serve the same entity that you are in a way. And Crosshair feels so grounded,
Right.
almost stubbornly, almost stubborn. I feel like
Yeah,
you won't see my side, then I'm gonna keep doing this.
right.
Well,
It's
and
like
um
the
getting
Bad
kicked
Batch
out
isn't
of your
even
family or
asking him.
something.
The Bad Batch isn't even asking him. Like they're just being like, anytime he mentions the Empire, he's like, you're better than, like they shoot down the idea of the Empire every
Right.
time. Like they
Right.
and I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I would like them to reconnect with each other. I would like the Bad
Yeah.
Batch to win Crosshair back, and
Yeah.
like Jonah says, try to find their place in the galaxy, which is
Yeah.
together. But I
Right.
feel like they're gonna have. I would like to see the Bad Batch extend more of an olive branch to
Sure.
Crosshair, and
Sure.
Yeah.
to just like talk to like try to talk to him, like ask him, like see some of his side, even if you don't
Right.
agree, just sort of, yeah.
I
Because
think what's
why?
yeah.
Because what is he feels valued in the Empire. He didn't feel valued as part of the Bad Batch.
Yeah. I guess so. I guess here's the thing that I always struggle with this type of thing is like Star Wars does not like make the like they're always in this weird thing where you want to make the stories more interesting, but like the Empire, there hasn't been any evidence of any nebulously evil quality that like the Empire is always like cartoonishly evil. Like all the people are
As a
awful to
whole,
each other.
but not
Yeah, but even
necessarily
so,
the
like
people
yeah,
within
but
it.
we have
Yeah.
We don't know every person within it.
no,
Mhm.
but I'm saying what we've
Jana,
seen on
Finn,
screen.
yeah.
No, but look, I'm saying what we've seen on screen, right? So it's like Crosshair, like nobody has treated him with any type of kindness in the Empire. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like we
yeah.
never get to see that ever happen. We never get to see like I have a family here. It's like they all treat him like crap, even when like they, you know what I mean? And like everyone's just evil to each other. They're all like, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's just like it's not like
I
we
wouldn't say
actually
they're
get
evil
this.
to each other. They're just very businesslike, and they follow they follow you know a code with each other. I don't think it's a
Yeah,
good code, but I don't like throw around. I wouldn't throw around the word. They're all evil as an organization, but
yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily call like all of their interactions with each other evil.
Okay. I this is we, you know,
Oh, okay,
I'm
okay,
the
okay.
adjective
Maybe I
is
picked
not
on
the
the
most
detail.
important.
Okay,
The
okay,
adjective is not the most important part. The point
okay.
is like they're all like none of them are. There's not a warm, welcoming environment, no matter who you are in the Empire. You know,
Yeah,
and like, so it's interesting when you want to create these like type of stories where you're like, assessing that duality, right? Of like
Mhm.
which side you're gonna pick, but like the Empire is always like so clearly not the right side because it's so like cartoonishly cold and awful,
yeah. As a
um
whole,
yeah,
As
as
a
a whole.
whole. As a whole.
Anyway, I know we're not
anyway,
even through this
I don't
episode
feel
yet.
like I tend to think that like interpersonal relationships or coldness and warmth has absolutely no bearing on like good or evil. Like I feel, and this is sort of like why I really identify with Crosshair, because Tech can see that he's always been like unyielding and whatever. And I feel like because Crosshair has always been someone who maybe turns up his nose at ideas, or
Hmm.
is a little bit like discerning, or is a little bit like not warm and not fun, like not paternal like Hunter, and not like the
Yeah.
same warm qualities as some of the other members. I feel like because of just how his personality, how he is, I feel like when the fandom talk about like Crosshair was already kind of mean and whatever, like being like that, having that kind of personality doesn't necessarily mean you're one step closer to being evil. That's just his personality. And so like to me, I'm like actually like a little bit triggered sometimes when I hear conversations like about Crosshair, because I'm like being like that's his I mean that's his personality. Like it's not,
Right.
it doesn't
Right.
like just because he has to ask like a bunch more questions, or just because he needs a lot more proof before doing things, or because he's not like super warm, doesn't mean that he's, it's super tragic that that he got the chip in him in the first place, like that he got the
Yeah.
chip turned up in the first place. And I feel like um, when the Bad Batch and other people kind of almost write him off as like, well, at least he wasn't like Wrecker or like someone else like that. I'm like,
Sure. Yeah.
it's
Mhm. Mhm.
I think they're like very different planes of evilness. And so like I think like within organizations, even within the Empire, if people are like following a certain structure and not being warm to each other, which I agree, they definitely, like, I don't see if any warm interactions happen in the
Well,
Empire.
yeah.
That still,
But I guess what I'm saying is like they're actively hostile to everybody. Is when it's not
but it's not always hot. Not No, I disagree. I don't think they're always actively hostile to each other. I think like people on the same level, for example, stormtrooper to stormtrooper or whatever, I don't think they're always openly hostile to each other. I think maybe there's a workplace norm of being like more mean, but like I think being really curt with someone else and being really direct is
Yeah.
definitely not the same thing as being hostile. I think it's no, I'm serious.
No, I know. I'm just like I'm just thinking of all these different parts of Star, like Darth Vader like choking a dude out and then immediately
These are like definitely outliers.
I don't know if that's the outlier in the Empire, the evil
Yes,
Empire.
Darth Vader
in
is
Star Wars.
absolutely an outlier in the Empire.
Yeah, but
No,
okay.
no, I get where you're coming from. We
I know what
had
you're
a
saying.
moment with
It's funny. It's funny. And like and it's like just imagining working for the Empire is because it's like it's
I'm
just
sure,
such a cartoon.
James, you need to read the Thrawn books.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
No,
Even Tarkin,
we
any of the Empire books.
did have a reason with what's his name, who took over Sid's position for half an episode. I mean, he had a soft spot for small creatures, so I get what you're saying. He wasn't inherently he was a villain portrayed in the episode as someone as a antagonist, of course, but he wasn't necessarily a evil
antagonist is a good
person.
word.
So that
Matthew
perhaps that there's more an antagonistic sense.
That makes sense because that's not. Yeah, that makes sense. Antagonist.
No.
Okay.
They're just on the opposite side of our heroes.
Yeah.
Or who's been presented as the hero in the show.
Good call.
Yeah, I'm thinking more from a storytelling standpoint, which is like the medium needs to portray the Empire as bad, so they do, and making them making them less bad is like not in the interest of their storytelling thematic, like and they don't always do a great job at making them look sympathetic. They don't really want to, because they don't want you to like, they ultimately have to tell the story that the Empire is a bad thing,
I feel like they've always maintained that the Empire is a bad thing. I think there's
they
big
do,
difference
and that's
between the Empire as a whole and individuals within the Empire. I think they're different things. I think absolutely show how people in the Empire. I love seeing glimpses of like humanity within people in the Empire, but maintaining that the Empire is bad, because it shows that even good people can get caught up in the Empire. The Empire is really bad, but like keeping it all just 100% bad, everyone involved bad, everything in there is bad, then where's the teaching? Like, I feel like Star Wars, it misses the opportunity for a teaching moment of like, if I'm not careful with keeping my emotions in check, or like making sure that I am not like whatever, I hope that I'm not caught up in the Empire one day. And it's sort of, people will be like, but he was such a good person, like he's not evil. And then the truth is, there's a lot of good people who do really like terrible things. And so it's good to see that. It's good to see that someone is a good person and that they do something evil, because then no one will be fooled. We won't be fooled by everyone.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, Jonas says being a jerk doesn't equal evildoer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would agree with that. So the music of this episode continues to be incredibly emotional. Throughout these entire things. I think we left off. They got back to their original birthing formation area, however we want to call it, cloning part. We get this little moment with, was it AZ saying my batteries are depleting, hides it from everyone except Omega, which I thought was, he says one of my favorite lines, my battery cells are depleting, I'm sorry for the inconvenience.
Yeah, that's so
I relate so much to AZ.
I'm so sorry that I am dying.
Sorry for the
I am dying. And perhaps I'm skipping over just a tiny little bit, but we get this really fun musical moment where we're building off of the very tiny little bump, ba-da-dum bump, ba-da-dum bump of the Bad Batch theme. And as they're placing the bombs, and as they come up with this idea of the medical pods, and we get the string ostinato coming in, but dun 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 dun. It's an explosion, and I love how Omega has the
very nice.
The button.
We get some nice percussion moments. We get 2, 3.
Yep.
Oh, do we really get that bell at the beginning?
Yeah, nice little triangle.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So we get
And-
this. Justin is talking about like the fact that there's a bunch of interwoven, or not interwoven, but like developing patterns based on the Bad Batch theme, but they're like really short cells of it. So like one of them is like. Yeah, one. And another one is like just over and over again. And it kind of drives action forward and repeats like that. Then we get sort of a Mission Impossible stinger.
Totally.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Right as Omega's about to press the button, we get like I don't even know how.
I love how Omega's the one with the button too.
Yeah.
And then the brass comes in with like. It's kind of funny. It's Mission Impossible-y, right? Is that what I'm thinking
Yes,
of?
it's very. It's got that action sequence that's super spy. Something big's
Super
about to
spy.
happen. Clearly an explosion. Many explosions. And what they're blown out of their pod bay area. The AZ goes to work, right?
Cool
Saving
plan,
everybody.
by the way. Cool idea
Yeah.
for a plan. I thought that was pretty
The pods.
pretty creative way to escape.
And the fact that, what was it? Crosshair came up with the idea. He finally jumped in to play game. You know, okay, I do want to get out of here. Yeah, the droid can do it. And AZ and Omega, knowing that his battery cells are depleting, there, AZ just says, "I'll do it." Nothing's, pending extraneous complications. He said, "Seeing as I don't run out of batteries, I'm gonna do it." And we get the ticking again. That ticking theme with the percussion
mysterious
comes back.
ticking noise.
Is it on the same rhythm every time?
Snape,
or possibly drowning
Severus
again.
Snape,
Snape, Dumbledore.
Severus, Dumbledore. The mysterious ticking noise.
We get that moment,
Yes.
and then of course the incredibly depressing moment where AZ
runs out of
breathes his last circuit for a moment, and Crosshair comes out. And...
We also heard that. I think the first time I remember hearing that was Cad Bane episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got some chimes in there for sure. Yeah, but not this particular with this type of weight on it. There were more solo chimes that you heard kind of
before.
Yeah, not with the accompaniment of the lower drums, the kind of the kicks in the concert toms that really made it have a little bit more weight and gravity of the it almost sounds like a coffin, like being dropped into the dirt,
Oh gosh.
Just making us feel as depressed as we can possibly feel about AZ. I thought AZ was a goner. I really did. I was really pleased.
I thought AZ was a goner too, and I was like, mad when Omega went after him. I was like, no.
I was too. I was like, Omega, come on. I mean, thank goodness. But do your thing. Your big heart. I love you.
So, let's know. Why I was excited that Omega went after AZ. I was not mad. What is happening musically when Omega goes after AZ?
Oh, well, right. Oh, Omega's theme. That's right.
And it's the big epic end of the finale of the series.
Oh, we finally get.
Right? It was like as
We've
epic
been
as
waiting for it. Here it is.
Yeah, and we get the
it's
same.
Like, and it goes in.
Yeah.
Yeah. What key is it in, Xanthe? Yes.
Oh, so good. So good. She gets her moment. That theme.
Yeah. cool sound of
Where we
that.
get
Classic, right?
yeah.
We've only been waiting for this one since
It,
episode
it's
one,
the
right?
Rise of Skywalker trailer moment.
Oh my god. It happened. It happened.
Finally happened. It finally happened.
I called that in like episode 1 that we'd get this by the end of the season.
Totally.
And this was her moment. This was her like, and I guess it was going after that droid.
After the
Like Jack and
Jack and
Rose
Rose.
from Titanic, except Rose does something about it.
Ooh,
Oh,
love it.
dude, yeah, let's talk about that for a
Wait,
second.
this whole
There
episode
is
reminded
there
me
is
of Titanic.
there is room on that raft next to her
I mean,
for Jack.
we could, we
What is
can, yeah. There's every
Like,
position
just
traced
move
out.
over a little bit. He could have been saved. Anyway,
Could have figured
I
something
was
out.
so confused as a child. Like, what do I not know about flotation devices that makes this seem like impossible?
Um,
that she's not just letting him on. Anyway,
So and then what's fun is we also like immediately after Hunter's like I'm going in and Crosshair we have another is he going to shoot Hunter moment or not kind of a thing, which I thought was a thing, right? He brings out his
Right.
gun, his blaster, and then uses a cable battering crowbar
really
thing
cool
to,
noise.
to grab AZ, which I know we're skipping a little bit towards the end here, but when she says thank you for saving AZ, and he says we're even, I don't think he was saving AZ. He was saving Omega, and AZ happened to be the thing that was holding Omega. I loved that part because Omega wasn't even thinking of herself there. She's never thinking of herself in that kind of moment. Said thank you for saving AZ, and in his mind he was saving Omega because he knew it was going to hurt Hunter and the rest of the batch. He's still, as she says, he's still their brother, and he realizes that she's his sister in a way, and not in a way, she is.
Completely side moment, but isn't it kind of interesting that Boba Fett was considered the alpha, right? They said that a couple of episodes ago.
Mhm.
Omega's the Omega, and then her droid is AZ.
Yeah.
That's probably a coincidence, but I just thought of that. We have A to Z, and then we have the Alpha and Omega, the opposite ends of the Greek alphabet. So,
which okay, and then also side note, I watch a lot of I watch everything with subtitles because then I don't have to worry a whole lot about volume, and I make sure that I see like every word in case I miss things.
It just didn't occur to me because it's spelled AZI in the subtitles.
Right, and that's been driving me nuts.
it's kind of like when they spell like 3PO with like or R2ARTOO, right?
Yeah. Because I keep seeing Azzy in my head, but I know it's AZ. I know it's AZ.
No, that's just a little what's the word? Crackpot theory that's what that means. Which is I just love the characterization, and Omega's been like this for the whole season. It's because, and I think it's definitely attributed to like she grew up caring for clones. She was a medical assistant.
Mm-hmm.
She's a very caring and nurturing person, and AZ was her droid assistant, was basically doing the same thing. And these two characters have such a giving nature, and they both exemplify this so strongly in this episode. And it's good to see that through line of how much these two characters really care about everybody around them. Mm-hmm. It's touching.
Yeah, that's so true. I know Mega's been through so much. Here we get this cool zipper noise as Crosshair's line pulls Omega up. And I thought it was cool to see Crosshair like being good at what he does in a non-destructive way.
And then immediately in a way, and immediately looking up and seeing that still none of his brothers trust what he was about to do. I mean, he didn't exactly say, "Hold up, Hunter, I got her." He pointed the gun at Hunter's head and then saved Omega. And he looks around and sees all these blasters pointed at him to the point where he just throws his thing, his defining aspect of himself away to Wrecker and says, "Look, okay, I'm done. I'm out. I see it. I get it. Y'all don't trust me."
Like this is someone who, even when his brothers are not trusting him and pointing their blasters at him, and he could just be like, why bother? Like, this is someone who still is like, I know they whatever. Let me just save her. He's someone who does it. He's doing it anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
which doesn't necessarily mean he's like a good person, but I mean, it is like that's what he wanted to do. Like, no one's forcing him to do that. Like,
right.
It's just what he does. His actions are speaking, more than his words,
Right.
Here. Yeah, K-pop times. It was sad to see them still not trust him. Yeah, I mean, it's on one hand, it's understandable. Like, it's not like they're wrong for not trusting him. It's just, I mean, between all of them, like, their trust is so broken. Like, they need to.
Yeah.
They need
Well,
so
I mean,
much
like,
repairing.
guys, he tried to blow them up with that cannon on Braca. Like, he tried to like destroy them with that. And by the way, they don't know when he removed his chip because he didn't tell them. So they don't know, they don't know if he was acting on his chip when he was trying to. He just tried to incinerate them.
But if they're assuming that it.
Yeah, that's assuming. And I like what Jonah had put up earlier. Said that Jonah thinks that he removed his chip so that he wouldn't kill his brothers because he was perhaps acting on these orders that were hardwired now hardwired into him.
That's
and he
possible,
realized the amount of times he's actually almost succeeded. And he
but
said,
they don't know.
I mean, we don't know. We don't know. Maybe that's a season 2 reveal.
I'm not going to fault them for that. I mean, it's sad, but I'm not going to fault them for not trusting.
Agreed. Me too.
So we get back on the platform, right, and we have this gorgeous moment of very sad music.
Also, shout out to the water sounds.
The water sounds. We see the smoke in the distance. We see all these wonderful. Wonderful. I say wonderful because I like the imagery, the technical imagery of what has been shown, but the very sad moments.
Really is.
Again, Omega, you're my brother too. Thank you for saving Easy. I mentioned that before. Seeing their home gone, warranting such incredibly sad music, and even Crosshair sticking to his guns. Oops, I made a bad pun, but sticking to his sticking to his. I mean, Hunter says, "This, you gave us a chance. This is yours. Come with us." And no, you hurt me too much. I'm sticking to this, even if somewhere in the back of his mind he might know he is maybe not wrong, but is conflicted on what should be his path. It's not with them right now. He's got too much healing. He's got healing to do, and they've got forgiveness and understanding to work through themselves.
Also, there's more than two options. Just because he's not going with the Bad Batch doesn't mean he
has to
default to the Empire. He has expressed his intent to stick with the Empire, but that doesn't mean he's like right at this very moment at the end of the episode. It's not like the Empire is there to save him immediately.
No, right.
So he's.
Are they even going to take him back? I mean, there's that trooper got away and witness Crosshair basically commit treason. I mean, he killed all those stormtroopers, and that trooper saw him do that. So you got to imagine that the Empire is going to be aware that he did this, and probably either go after him or like I can't imagine they're going to want him back. I
like Jonah's comment here. Camino
during the day. I know, weird, right?
And not running, and not running, raining.
Right.
It was. It was,
maybe they only experienced like 1 hour, like 1 hour of daylight or something like that. Like this is the 1 hour of the month that they get daylight. And then, oh man, what happens after they fly away? Audience knows to save her.
This changes everything. We get Bad Batch and Omega themes interspersed.
And then a little interesting, I guess it wasn't a cliffhanger. It was a reveal that Nala says, I mean, okay, we knew that she was going to be, or they were going to be taken to the Empire. We get this new science character that we don't.
Wearing the same outfit that Dr. Pershing wears in The Mandalorian.
This great bowl cut with a bun.
Yeah. So obviously there's this like crew of Imperial cloners, right? That these like I don't know, that patch is obviously indicating that this is like what the Imperial cloning enterprise, the direction that they take
Is gonna
from now on, right?
which my half-baked theory is that this has something to do with Palpasnoke.
Oh, it does.
But
No, I mean, I don't think it's half
yeah,
baked at all. I think it's like
this
incredibly
is this
likely.
this is exactly a connection. Well, I'm calling Palpasnoke, but
I like
it's
that.
is going to be
Palpasnoke.
exactly what happens here. It's all Nalase. Um,
Oh yeah,
or
oh yeah.
but
And here's
and
the thing:
then
is that I think one of the big questions about Mandalorian was like, why is there a human being with a Kaminoan patch?
Oh yeah,
Like,
right.
what's going on? Where are the humans on Camino that aren't clones, right? And I guess the answer to that question is they killed all of them, and they're working with Nalase, and maybe I don't know if they're going to have any other Kaminoans that are helping them, but it's basically all the cloning takes place from people that are not from Camino that are basically using Nalase for her technology and knowledge, right?
Question: do you think
yeah.
that after Camino's destruction, are we taking away like any musical things that are associated with Camino? Do you
Ooh.
like what music would you associate with Camino? Like there's the arpeggio thing that we
Yeah.
hear when Obi-Wan lands.
We have the
yeah,
spa
kind
music.
of.
Wait, the spa music?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the drone
the ambient spa music of Camino and
droning
spas.
spa, the Camino and spa.
All the amazing sound effects of those doors.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll never have
Those doors.
the Camino
Doors
alarm ever
anymore.
again.
And the Camino alarm.
Unless it was an Imperial alarm.
I was
Yeah.
wondering that because I had a fun theory because we hear the Imperial. I know this is going back. We hear the Imperial alarm sounding out when they like, oh, the Bad Batch is here, which to me also means that this alarm is portable. And somewhere they had to bring that alarm down. And I wonder if there's like a big push crate that has the alarm so that we could hear it outside of the Camino facility. But I thought that alarm, the sine tone
Yeah.
alarm, was also Imperial, but they're also on a Camino
Before.
thing, so that could very much be a Camino alarm. It doesn't seem very blaring like an Imperial
Right.
alarm would
It's such a
be, and they
cool. It
seem to
reminds me of
be.
something from like Lost or something.
Yeah, and it's so gentle. It's like, oh,
Yeah, it is a
something's
gentle
wrong.
one.
It's very
Something's
Camino
wrong.
and it's very
Yeah,
there.
Something like
yeah,
that.
it's very
Yeah. It's
Camino
just like,
and Camino.
something's not okay. We probably should evacuate, but take your
Okay.
time. It's all right. No need to
So
talk any
gentle.
louder than we're talking
Soothing
right
just
now.
like their voices. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
That's
it
really
would be
funny.
interesting if we hear this alarm in season 2 somewhere for
So
whatever
keep your
reason,
ears perked, everyone.
in a Imperial site, or maybe Nalase brings those tones with them, and
Yeah, she's got it on like a flash. She's got like a USB flash drive. She's like, can you just switch out these
I know you
MP3
destroyed
files?
my planet, but
I brought my MP3s with
I
me.
need this to remind me of home.
Maybe that's her ringtone. Maybe like when she gets a hologram.
Incoming. That's funny. So
And
yeah, maybe we'll hear that sound in Mandalorian. That
yeah,
might be cool to
Man,
keep an ear out for.
I mean, I think it's possibly obvious. It's possibly not. It's possibly just me, but like being like having, what's the word? Like wishful thinking. But my whole thing is like I'm really enjoying what seems to be lots and lots of context and background for the Palpatine cloning Snoke
mhm.
stuff in the sequels, and it seems like all these new shows are kind of telling a little bit of that story with the
Yeah,
the little
same.
cloning things with Grogu, with the Mandalorian, and then Dr. Pershing, and obviously now in Bad Batch. I'm enjoying that. That seems to be like what they're doing, with these new. Like they're filling in those gaps, but it could be just like something else, I guess. I think that would be, yeah, it would be
Exactly.
kind of
Army of
weird.
Moochies or
I
something
think your
like
guess
that.
is
We'll
pretty
see.
fair bet.
I think it's probably fair, right? It'd be
It's
like,
probably
no,
fair.
this had nothing to do with any
Yeah,
of that.
I think that's yeah.
You know, maybe they're gonna make Luke from the
From
old
Legends.
from Legends, right? Yeah, I'm just excited that whenever they have anything that like references any of these things, I get really, really nerdy
Yeah.
excited. So
Yeah, like when dots are connected.
yeah, I'm
It's
a
cool.
dot connector for sure.
Yeah. I think it's cool too.
Yeah.
And then we're
Would you?
left with this like kind of.
What?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, James.
Oh no, go ahead, Justin.
I was just gonna say we're kind of left with this like cliffhanger, not cliffhanger, but not. And I'm not complaining. It felt like it wasn't a finale to a season. I feel like there's going to be another episode next week. I know it's
Oh.
not happening for a while, but it really felt to me like, oh, okay, we're going to find out what happens next week because we ended with those two little synthesizer tones.
Yeah.
It wasn't really the Bad Batch just flies away. There's no like, we'll see it, like banding together moment or like
Don't
a final
season
words.
finales normally have a cliffhanger?
I yes and no. I felt
Okay.
like there would still be like they would like, of course, like lead up to what the next season's gonna be, but there was no like conclusion or moment. We had the moment with Crosshair. We had the moment with Omega's last, like you're my brother too, and then they just kind of whoop gone. We don't see anything else. Makes me wonder how Crosshair's getting off that platform, but that's a different thing. And then we get this dark moment with like Nala say, welcome. We're so excited to we have such great plans for you, and then it just ends.
And then it ends, right?
It just felt like another episode to me. Just it didn't feel like an arc finale, of course, but not a season finale.
So Xanthe and I had a nice chat about
like
this.
a 3-hour conversation after the stream last time.
Yeah. And
we were
I kind of felt.
I'm just kidding.
I kind of felt. What else is new? We had a nice chat, and I think I felt kind of similarly in that this feels like an unusual finale in that it's so on such a small micro personal. Like all the main events were so personal between the characters as opposed to like a big bang. You know what I mean? And I found that unusual for a Star Wars show because usually the season finales are these huge events, like some big infiltration scene and like they blow up a ship and you know what I mean? Like that's usually what happens. And this was like just 5 characters trying to escape a thing while they sorted out their personal issues. You know what I mean? Like they weren't really fighting a whole lot of enemies. There wasn't like this is a pretty unusual Star Wars finale. Like
big character reveal or something.
Yeah. There wasn't any big cameos, like Mandalorian season 1, they're like fighting off the entire empire to save Grogu, and same thing with Mandalorian season 2, right? But this was just like these 5 characters coming to grips with what was going on in their personal lives and their personal stories, and then trying to not get killed by the ocean.
So what do you make of that in the context of our conversation and our stream last time when we talked about it?
Well, my whole thing was like, what was going to be the big action piece? And it turned out escaping the base was the big action piece. And I didn't see that being sustainable. I didn't know what the, like I was like pretty puzzled last week being like, what are they going to do this week? And it turns out that I
kept saying Crosshair is going to talk to the Bad Batch. Like there's going to be conversation.
And they did.
And the Bad Batch. And I was totally right.
No, and I agreed that was going to happen, but obviously that just a conversation in itself would not be able to be a 30-minute episode of a Star Wars, right? So they had to. But they're obviously it happened this week. They literally had to put a monster in the episode. I
knew that there would be action wrapping paper.
Right. Yeah. And sure. My question last week was what was going to be the wrapping paper, because I didn't know, and so we found out.
Now we
know. But I have to say that the action wrapping paper was definitely like atypical for a Star Wars finale. Normally it would be like, let's go and like infiltrate the Empire ship and like save our character, and you know what I mean. Like it wasn't.
I don't know what you mean.
Do you know what I mean, Justin? Like this type of action seemed like. It wasn't like we weren't building to this action this whole season. This felt like a kind of it felt odd for a finale, but it was fine. I loved it. I so fine. I was at the edge of my seat, but it last week felt like the big action piece. Like we're gonna go save Hunter, get in there, get out, and then that's the end of this season, right? But this was Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like last week definitely felt like I thought we knew it was gonna, like, in our minds we knew this was gonna be a 3 episode arc. I didn't expect the Great Escape to be our ending, but the Great
Yeah.
Rescue was gonna be is it seems to be a usual trope that happens in some of these shows. The big
Yeah.
battle, the big
Yeah.
rescue, the
The
get
big
out at
battle, and
them.
they're fleeing an enemy or something like that. The point
Yeah,
is it was great and it was awesome, but it just was unexpected, and I found that notable. It was
yeah,
notable that it was unexpected, and it was different than a typical. It was very character based. Jonah, I think,
yeah.
just said that right in the chat. It's a
Oh yeah,
character
it's
Very
a
focused
character
finale.
focused
character
finale.
focused.
And that is
Absolutely.
atypical
True.
for these Star Wars shows, for sure. So I liked it. I mean, the fact we've talked about so much psychology between these characters just on this stream today, and that it just shows
Yeah,
you how much this finale was about their relationships and their characters. So I think that, there you go.
totally.
Yeah,
It's a cliffhanger.
There we
yeah,
are. It's a cliffhanger,
yeah.
or not a cliffhanger, but an open end. I guess
No,
that's
for
better than a
sure.
because cliffhanger. We're like, oh, did they survive or not? But like, if they would have ended last week, and are they underwater or not? And we open up season 2 with the escape. That,
Yeah,
like, I agree with James. That would have been more typical of this type of show. Maybe
for
not
sure.
just Star Wars, but just a typical cliffhanger season finale. I
Yeah,
want
yeah,
to
yeah,
come back and see. I mean, I want to come back and see season 2, of course, but
yeah.
it wasn't a, oh my goodness, I need to know what happens. Now it's like, okay, we're on to the next part. We're on to the
Mm.
next arc of this kind of a
Yeah,
thing. So
you're right. You're so right that last week would easily have been a normal season finale, and the fact that we got one more episode felt so it just feels we're in a different place than we typically feel
that's
with
why
these
I feel
shows.
like we're gonna have another episode next week. I'm
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
gonna find
I
out
agree with you.
we're gonna go back to Sid's and do a couple
Yeah,
more runs and stuff like that.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
So interesting
I'm
to
curious if there's gonna be a
hear what
Just
you,
time.
Justin. You're
just different
super stoked.
perspectives. Different perspectives, of our expectations of media, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I mean it's
yeah,
It's interesting. It is interesting. It's interesting.
yeah,
Absolutely.
That's all I can
yeah,
say.
yeah.
Ooh, fish out of water.
Sure, literally a fish out of water, a Godzilla out of water for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
A whale too.
Oh my gosh. So, um, wow. Now that we have a year to process the Bad Batch, season 1 until next year,
right.
for season 2, I'm sure we'll have many more developed thoughts then, possibly informed by The Mandalorian or Book of Boba.
Ooh,
Hopefully, maybe, or maybe not. Who knows? Um, and y'all up for doing vision stuff next
we're
month?
totally doing visions,
Absolutely.
y'all.
We got
Y'all,
a
there's
name.
a
We got
there's gonna be a rock opera as one of those episodes. How can we
Yeah.
not do visions?
oh,
Okay.
can't wait.
Justin's like half in, half in. I can barely hear you.
I know. I'm so sorry. My
It's okay.
computer's
It's okay.
on fire, so
Yeah, I know.
it's working.
You're doing great. Um, so I guess I guess we'll see what that looks like when Visions drops. Maybe I don't know, maybe an episode a week or something.
Do we know anything about the composers on Visions yet?
I think we
Have
know
they
who some
announced?
of them are.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'd love to check out their work. I'm so not familiar with anime and Japanese
exactly.
animation
Syllabus.
studios that I would love to syllabus. Yes, I did mean that, Jonah. Dude, that would be so funny if that's what they're looking like. They're building this up to. Like, it's not Snoke or Palpatine. It's that they're cloning the Zillo
Zillo
Beast. Because
Beast.
remember he
Payback.
takes he takes the sample from that episode. He's
That's
like, let's
true.
clone the Zillo Beast.
That's so
So
true.
what if this is a total red herring and it's all about the Zillo Beast?
I hope
It's
the
like
Zillo
we're all
Beast
like, oh, we're
escapes
getting
and
more
lives a
Snoke.
happy. Yeah. Oh no, the Zillo
No,
Beast died. What am I talking about? Yeah. Oh,
no,
sad.
that's too
For a brief
late.
moment, I
You know?
forgot that the Zillo Beast died. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Um,
we will be
All the
back
death
for Zillow. Nope, not for Zillow Beast content. For Visions,
I mean, we'll see.
for Visions music and sound talk.
Yes.
I guess that's September. So I don't know.
yeah.
In the meantime, um, yeah, just keep an eye out on the channel in case there are things that pop up in the meantime. Before then, we only have like 5 weeks. But yes, rest in peace, Zillow Beast. I was so mad at that episode. I was very mad. James remembers.
If Xanthe gets up to 400 subscribers, we're gonna watch Ewoks and review it.
Put out the word. I am down for those.
400 subscribers. 400. Okay, everybody, tell your friends.
Cartoon droids. Let's do it.
And also, because it hasn't started yet, I do want to, for people who watch or listen to the podcast of Star Wars Music Minute, as you know, that show, we really go into detail in the music and sound 5 minutes at a time, not 5 minutes per episode, but like 5 minutes of the film. So both James and Justin were guests on the show, and so they each have like a whole separate episode of each talking with me about 5 minutes from The Last Jedi, because that was the first season. And that season is coming to an end, so there's only like 3 or 4 more episodes left of Star Wars Music Minute for The Last Jedi season. And so I'm telling you right now, the next movie I'm going to do is A New Hope.
Oh, cool.
Taking it right back to A New Hope, 5 minutes at a time. So if you want to hop on to, being right from the beginning of that season, then I'm literally just going through 5 minutes of A New Hope every week. So it's going to take like 6 months. So yeah, it's a low bar if you start early. Just listen 5 minutes of that movie at a time.
Isn't A New Hope the shortest one, or Rise of Skywalker is the shortest one? Which one's the shortest one? Wait, I should have. Last Jedi is the longest one, though.
Yeah.
So you just went through
Last Jedi in February.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's intense.
Maybe 10 minutes at a time. I'm kidding.
So 5 minutes at a time, A New Hope. So I'm telling you now, that season starts in September as well.
Nice.
Yes.
Can't wait to see it. Classic.
Yes.
Classic.
All right. It's been such a fun few months doing Bad Batch. And
so
Justin and James, in the meantime, where can people find you online? Justin, I can't hear you. Oh. Okay.
James,
you can find Justin on SoundCloud at Raingoat Music.
Find me on Sound.
Also, all of their links are in the description.
Raingoat Music. We got it. Yeah, check the links.
Check the links. And you can find me at James Waterman Music, just about everywhere except for Twitter, where I'm just at James Waterman. Or you can find my website, jameswatermanmusic.com.
Yes, and you should also check out both of their episodes of Star Wars Music Minute, because they were both really, really fun. Lots of fun.
So much fun.
Yeah, let's take it out on a Bad Batch theme.
Let's do it.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4.